let's try and take this down to more local. And I know you're familiar with the San Mateo County and the local situation on the coast. So what's the environment here going to look like? I know that I don't want to have you feel like you have to answer all the questions about the coast, especially since our superintendent Gaskell's back there, and he will answer correct you if you're wrong. Yes. But tell us a little bit about how you see what's going on more close to home.
Well, thank you for that warning, so I'm not going to say too much. Why don't I say general things, and you can ask specific. I talked about equity in schools. I think San Mateo County is a poster child for the lack of equity in California, but it's more pronounced here than anywhere else in the state. You have some of the highest funded districts and some of the lowest funded districts right next to each other. So we see the equity issue in funding more pronounced in this area than we do elsewhere. And obviously the whole basic aid issue, which I know is now a change here on the coast, I think is part of that. The other thing locally, well, this applies statewide, but then especially locally, is unfortunately we've gotten to be a school system in California where it's essentially become privatized. And that is, I'm hard-pressed to find successful districts that either don't have a parcel tax, a great foundation, amazing parental contributions, or a lot of philanthropic support. And I see nods of heads where the effort here locally in Cabrillo to have a strong foundation, to raise money for parents to get involved, to support the schools, is critical. And if you don't have that right now in California, you're screwed. So it's and that's nothing like the schools were when I was a first grader. So, and what you have here locally, fortunately in a lot of districts, is foundations and parents stepping up and supplementing what the state's not doing. You see more of that here in this county than elsewhere in the state, which is why we're doing relatively better here in this county than other areas.
Before I open it up to the general Q&A, Rob, did Ted do okay on that question? Do you want to add anything to it? Before I open it up to the general Q&A, Rob, did Ted do okay on that question? Do you want to add anything to it?
A couple of quick thoughts. I started the day with a meeting. Ted, you'll be able to relate to this with our board president and the association president about the Race to the Top MOU, which is due tomorrow. Yes. And incidentally, with a lot of reservations because there's so many questions out there, we did submit the MOU today.
Great.
Not a sign-off from the union, which is taking a kind of a let's wait and see posture. And the board hasn't taken official action. They're going to be asked to ratify my action next Thursday. But I want to first of all thank you for all you've done over the years for education and the public sector in the Bay Area. So thank you very much for all you've done. It's been great. And Lenny, I've only been in here for 15 or 20 minutes. I'm wowed by this forum. It's something that we've needed on the coast side for a long time, where we can come together over some common issues and mix educators and parents and business people, and this kind of a forum is great. So thank you for this. I appreciate that. And I don't know, Ted, if I have a question to open this so much.
Let's do it.
I can try and set the stage. The comment, first of all, it's a very frustrating period of time. I've been in this business for a long time. I started teaching in 1972. And I've never been in a situation where there's so much uncertainty and so much of a lack of confidence, I think, in leadership at the state and federal levels right now. Moving forward with this MOU, specific to your comments a few moments ago, is really a leap of faith at this point in time, because there are more questions than answers. I guess my question for you is, do you feel like the race to the top, from your perspective, is a step in the right direction? Where are we going to land on this?
I'll tell you why I'm struggling with it. I think it is in the right direction what the Obama administration is trying to do, but it frustrates me, and it goes back to the politics question. Because my philosophy, the Obama administration is good, you know. He's not being totally positive. You're great, Mr. President. I love you guys. Keep going. especially now with all this stuff on security, you know, they've got it everywhere. The thing that frustrates me with the race to the top is my philosophy of how we're going to fix, as I think I was hinting at it earlier, is we got to bring everyone together. And this is not some kumbaya naive thing. This is having been in the trenches for 20 years on this issue. And the only way I can see getting out of this is the teachers union and business leaders and civil rights groups and everyone saying, come on, this is our education. I mean, what are we doing here? What's this? What's the coast side? What's this state going to look like in 30 years if we don't fix this? And get everyone together. And when we get everyone together, I think we can come to agreement a lot quicker than people think. So why do I have a problem with race to the top? I actually think what Obama and Secretary Duncan are trying to do personally makes a lot of sense. However, the way they've done it, sometimes you can think something makes a lot of sense. That doesn't mean you go out and say, this makes a lot of sense, do it, or else. And that's what they've done. So it's been a little bit to room. Now, on the flip side, I'm sure if Arnie Duncan was here, he would say, well, yeah, if I didn't do it that way, it wouldn't happen. So I can see what they're trying to do and really use that lever of dollars to push things, but it's been more divisive than it's needed to. And then at the state level, what Schwarzenegger and some other folks have done is say, wow, we got a Democratic president who's really willing to push the envelope here, so let's really push the envelope. And that was my reference earlier to the legislation pushing things a little harder than I think they needed to. So all that having been said, California's got to apply for this. We got to get $700 million. And a lot of the stuff that's in there that's scaring folks, you know, if you think about it, some of it is pretty common sense, and I think the state, what the state's trying to do, and I think local districts that get money from it, you know, Obama set these general goals. They've set some very specific things like, you know, being able to, not having any barrier between measuring teachers with data and some other things, but the reality is the application doesn't have to be that controversial, and I think the state's going to hopefully put an application together that everyone can more or less live with. That having said, the teachers union is really pissed right now, and so CTA could conceivably mess up this application getting approved.